everyone, I'm Anne Livingston. I'm the convener of TC314 Communications Group. TC314 is an ISO group looking at particularly ageing societies. And we've got a broad range of work. These webinars serve as a series to highlight this work. Our guest today is Ian Spero. Welcome, Ian. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, Anne. I am the convener of ISO 73334, which is Smart Multigenerational Neighbourhoods.
Thanks, Ian. Do you want to introduce a little bit about your work and your background, but particularly how you got involved in standards work and development?
Yeah, for sure. By career, I'm a marketeer. I ran marketing communications businesses for blue chip technology and media clients primarily. And for personal reasons, I decided to see how technology aligned with a more innovative approach to healthcare could be used to alleviate stress and anxiety with people primarily living with palliative care needs. It was a personal project, and I was approached by Innovate UK, which is the UK's innovation agency, and asked if I would work with them on the development of one of the first campaigns about 10 years ago, looking specifically at aging society as an opportunity rather than a silver tsunami. And that project was called the Long-Term Care Revolution. The long-term care revolution was all about deinstitutionalizing long-term care. So we've been running a program called Neighbourhoods of the Future. And one of the key considerations of that is that looking to the future, people will not or should not live in traditional retirement housing. It's not healthy. And what is actually far more healthy is a multi-generational approach, a more blended approach and a more inclusive approach to the way that people will live. And so we've become advocates over the past 5 years for multi-generational neighbourhoods and communities.
Thanks, Ian, for that comprehensive coverage of the work that you are doing. How does that relate to standards, and why do you feel standards are important in this work?
So ISO has created, as you know, the Aging Societies Technical Committee, which is looking at aging as a priority area. And within that, they have identified multi-generational living as a priority area in its own right. And because of the work that we've been doing on the neighbourhoods of the future, I was asked to lead the development of a new standard that would address this subject. And that has involved, in the first instance, 2 years of research to determine if there was an appetite for people to work together, for stakeholders to work together collectively towards the creation of a standard. Why is this important? It's a very good question, and it's one that we actually asked during our research because I didn't have all the answers. What we were looking for is consensus, and we found consensus. There is an appetite, a global appetite amongst stakeholders to work together, to pool resources, to pool knowledge, and to actually come up with some evidence that demonstrates that multi-generational living is a way of alleviating loneliness and acute isolation, which is not healthy, of course. And so consequently, we have reached the point where the ballot amongst 20 plus countries determined that there was a collective appetite to create a standard. And from my perspective, the value of that standard is it creates a common currency if you're a business, if you're a local authority, a regional authority, how do you know it's right to invest? You know, there's not a whole lot of money going around anywhere. So the standard creates the evidence base. It enables us to define what best practice looks like. And it's a really important undertaking that has to be holistic. And when I say holistic, we're not just talking about the West. We're not talking just about countries that maybe can afford these kind of developments. We have to take stock of, you know, the worldwide issue, because at the end of the day, everybody is aging.
Thanks, Ian. How are you incorporating the work of other countries, and where do you see your work expanding to other countries?
We've been running a program of engagement with the world since we started this research. Indeed, Anne, that's how you and I first met. And in that regard, it's essential that we hear the voice from different countries, be they countries, for example, in Southeast Asia, where we can learn an awful lot, because culturally they've been engaged with a multicultural, a multi-generational approach for many, many years, in fact, historically. And so we can learn from each other in that regard. And I think it's very important that the work that we do does extend itself to other countries. And the advantage that we have with new technologies such as this Zoom call today is that we are not restricted by physical constraints. We can engage on a global basis. So let's take full advantage of this kind of technology to hear the voice of frequently those most in need. But, you know, everybody has a different take on what constitutes an ideal neighborhood of the future. And we've aligned ourselves with UN Habitat so that actually we are able to be guided by experts in their own particular field. And along the way, obviously, that means that we need to take account of environmental stewardship. So it's a learning process all the way through.
Thanks, Ian, for the comprehensive coverage of the work that you've been undertaking. How do people get involved in your work? And I know TC314 has got a comprehensive website as well as a LinkedIn group, and I encourage people to join those two activities. How will we learn more about your work as you go forward, Ian?
If you're an ISO member, there is a page on the development of our standard on the ISO website.
Thanks, Ian, for your time today. It's a really important work that you're forging here, and we look forward to hearing more in the future. Thanks for your involvement today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Anne.